We'll get the TVs going. So this is different. This is definitely a little different. Okay?
Really?
This is definitely a little different. But
yesterday in church also was
very, very quiet in church. We were walking.
Was empty.
We were walking yesterday on the streets and just trying to get some exercise. And it was okay.
I just got a home inspection in Santa Ana, and it's supposed to be at 9:30. The inspector got at 8:30. I said, there was no traffic. That's why I got in an hour earlier.
Wow.
We did it so fast.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Okay. Okay, so we're working on lots of different things. This is, it's a teeny bit crazy right now. What's interesting, what is interesting, and I'll just have a conversation with you and you, because, I don't know, maybe even you. Are we broadcasting? Okay, good. All right. And we're not broadcasting on there.
Oh, I'll get that going right now.
So first of all, I wanted to make sure that everybody had seen the video. It didn't see the video that I put out there. Please do, number one. Number two, it really did take me 2.5 or 3 hours to do that, because it is just, it's not common. I'm very comfortable here. Very, very comfortable, and I have a conversation. I mean, it's not as comfortable without having quite as many people here, but okay, so we're working through that. I actually believe at some level, all the things we're going through, and I don't want people to get sick, and I don't want people to have problems, and I don't want them to have financial problems. Having said that, I really sense a sea change in how we do things, how we interact with each other, what we think is important. You know, we're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars, or certainly tens of thousands of dollars on weddings and quinceañeras and bar mitzvahs and things like that, that all this stuff is being canceled today. And we're quite happy just, doing an elbow bump and congratulating them, and that's really nice. And so we're looking at money differently, I think. We're looking at our relationships differently. I know that I got a number of people that, friends and relatives that touched base with me, texted me, emailed me, called me, and said, as they looked around their house and said, boy, I don't want to be quarantined here. So I think there's a lot of opportunity.
My wife said the same thing, but she was looking at me when she said it.
Well, we're not going to touch that. We're not touching that. So, but the house needs to be painted, the carpets need to be shampooed or replaced, or maybe we want a different location. I think all of our clients are looking at it. I think it's a very, there's got to be humor in this.
That's why I'm here. I want to be home.
You didn't want to be home. That's why you're here. Exactly.
We just made an offer for yesterday's open house. Nobody's going to be there. There are 15 offers in one house. So where the buyers are coming from? Well, the
buyers are definitely out there. They are definitely out there. They're coming to open houses. They're showing up. Look, if you have a buyer or you have a seller that doesn't want to play in this environment, don't push it. Okay? Don't push it. We don't want anybody to be uncomfortable. We don't want anybody to get hurt or anything like that. There are a lot of, and you've got to write this down, and you have to remember it, because it's one of the things we have to work on. Half the buys and half the sells. We've been talking about this for weeks, months, years. Half the buy, half the sell. But right now, that's critical. Because if you get involved with a want to buy or a want to sell, they are going to drag you around, and they're going to be making offers on properties at low offers on pieces of property, and you're never going to get the deal together. If you have a seller and he wants to list his house higher than normal, and he doesn't have a lot of motivation, I wrote down here, doesn't have a motivation level of at least 7 and above on a scale from 1 to 10. They need to be at least a 7 or above, okay, in terms of motivation. If they don't have that motivation, and you can ask them a question, look, if I can't get you $525,000 for this house, and we just try everything and we can't get it, are you still going to sell? And if the answer is no, under no circumstances, I'm not going anywhere unless I get my ridiculous price, you have to rethink whether or not you want to spend time, effort, and energy with that client right now. So we have to get really good at asking qualifying questions. And we'll talk more about that in just a second. So I wrote down here, so I made a bunch of notes on things that we could be working on, need to be working on, need to rethink. And we'll walk through those. I just want to remind you that attitude's everything. Your attitude is everything. If you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. You're going, and I wrote down here, I'm getting a little out of order, but I wrote down here, you have to stop listening to the news. You have to stop listening to the newspaper. I get you need to know if the supermarkets are closing or not closing. You need to make sure that you have water in the house and food in the house. I get all of that. But you know what? After that, don't listen to it. Don't watch the stock market. The stock market's going to go up and the stock market is going to go down. Write that down. Okay? Write that down. It will go up and it will go down. Guaranteed. It will go up and it will go down. I wrote down here, one of the very first things I wrote down as I was starting to prepare this talk was to be a resource. To be a resource for your clients. To be a resource. So what do I mean by being a resource? Anybody thoughts on that? Be a resource.
Be there for us to answer questions.
Be available to answer questions. And to be available to answer questions, what do you need to know? You need to know what's going on in the marketplace. You need to, when a client says to you, so what's going on with this coronavirus thing? What's happening? Is it good? Is it bad?
0% interest rates.
Is it zero? Exactly. Exactly. You have to ask the question. So, are you interested in buying or selling? Are you looking for an investment property? Are you looking to move up or are you looking to move down? Because each one of those has a separate piece of information. Yes or no?
Yes.
Absolutely. So you have to be a resource. For instance, Robert and I were playing with some numbers today. We're always doing something like that. In a 10-mile radius, so this is around the Walnut office, Saturday, Sunday, and up until about 10 o'clock today, okay, in the MLS, there were 25 new listings. So there's business out there, 25 new listings, okay? There were 14 new pendings, Saturday, Sunday, and through 10 o'clock Monday morning. And there was 2 properties that closed escrow. Well, we didn't have any closings on Monday and Tuesday, so it wouldn't have showed up. Excuse me, for Saturday and Sunday, so that wouldn't have showed up. In a 10-mile radius. So the point is, in our small little area, there's a ton of business. And the question is, how much do you need to have a great month? 1 deal, 2 deals, 3 deals? That'd be pretty awesome. So you want to be a resource. You need to know these numbers to be able to talk to people that way. So that's my first thought. I wrote down here the second thought, once and for all. What did I just say? Once and for all. Say it again.
Once and for all.
Role play. Once and for all. Your turn.
Once and for all.
Get a handle on your past client and sphere base. Once and for all. Get a handle. Get your arms around it. Go through every single person in that base and call them. Be a resource. People are at home. People are out in the public. Okay? If you call them and just say, hey, I wanted to touch base with you. And I did a little bit of that on a little bit on Saturday, a teeny bit on Sunday, just touching base with agents and friends, people in the company. Hey, we're here. Can I help you answer any questions with regards to real estate, with what's happening in the marketplace? Pretty interesting stuff, okay? So I wrote down here number 3, at the retreat, Mike had said we need to have at least 5 sources of business. Do you guys remember that?
Yeah.
5 sources of business. So I wrote down 8. No, maybe more. 9 or 10. 10 sources, and there are probably 100. But just write down this in this order, and then question, which ones are you working on? So not in any particular order. The first one I wrote down here is new and old expireds. New and old expireds. The second thing I wrote down is once and for all, get a handle on your past client and sphere base. Once and for all. The third thing I wrote down here was probate. The fourth thing I wrote down here was non-owner occupied properties. Non-owner occupied properties, great source of business. Not a lot of people work those. The next one was canceled in real time. Canceled in real time. The next one was preview old actives. The next one is just listed, just sold. And it can be phones and doors. You have to, whatever you're comfortable with, I'm fine with. I don't want to tell you to go do one and not do another. If you're not comfortable with the doors, then don't go. If you go up to a door and you knock on the door, I always recommend taking a step back, maybe two steps back, okay? But the truth is that buyers need to buy and sellers need to sell. That's all you're looking for. You're not looking for the want tos. If somebody says, I'm not interested, great, move on and move fast, okay? I wrote down here for rent by owner. For rent by owner. I wrote down here for sale by owner. I wrote down here knock or call 200 to 300 homes around a new listing or sale. This is an area I've been talking about for a while that we tell our clients that we do, and some of you do a great job of it, and truth is that some don't, or you cut it a little short. This is super valuable around a past client and sphere, okay? So there's 10 sources. Question is, which ones are you using? Which ones are you focused on, and what could you get better at? The next thought I put down here was be the calming force. You are the calming force in the transaction. Be the calming force in the transaction. I read someplace years ago that physical moving from one house to another, the process of looking for a piece of property, finding a piece of property, going through all the details, and actually physically moving, ranks right behind death of a spouse in the emotional level. Yeah, crazy, huh? Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, it's that emotional. Because think about it. Most of us are nesters. We find a home, we get comfortable, we know where our stuff is. Somebody comes to your desk and they move your pen from over here to over here. It's like, wait, what's going on here? Who's been at my desk? Okay? We do this all the time. If I can't find the ketchup in the refrigerator, it's like the end of the world. The hell? Who moved the ketchup? Get it? We're creatures of habit, and so we are moving. It's pretty emotional. You need to be the calming force. So if you can imagine, the emotions are high anyway. They're higher now because no one knows. I was talking to my wife about this the other day. My grandparents never went through anything like this. My grandparents. Maybe during World War II, there was stuff like this. I don't know, okay? I wasn't around. But from that point forward, nobody went through this. They're closing gyms and they're closing schools and you walk in. we went shopping the other day, and my wife shops at Gelson's in Beverly Hills, Century City. So when I go in there, I love going into that store. Why do I like going into the store? It's because everything is fronted. You know what if you go in and you take a bottle of ketchup, it's like somebody comes right behind you and brings the next bottle forward. It's called fronting, okay? It's a lot of stores do it, but Gelson's does it at like a higher level, all right? So I like going in there and fooling with it, okay? I take something out, put it in the basket, kind of go down the aisle, go away, and somebody, I'm telling you, they just come and they front it. It's just, that's what they do. There were aisles and aisles and aisles of nothing on the shelves in Gelson's. Nothing, not a few things, not a couple things missing, nothing. It was weird. I've never seen that. You know, 40-something years in business, I've never seen anything like that. I've gone into different times, you know, we've been through a number of things. We had the Gulf War. People went in and took bread and water off the shelves. They did, okay? You didn't see a lot of bread and water on the shelf. I've never been in a round where they took toilet paper. That's the weirdest thing. Not sure about that one.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So, but you have to be the calming force. So I wrote down here, to be the calming force, you have to be calm. To get calm, you have to exercise. Okay. So don't mess with your exercise program. You know, as we get older, we can't do quite as much, but you can still walk in most cases. You can do a small weight training, stuff like that. I get it. I wrote down here, take care of yourself. Exercise, wash hands, get a lot of rest, recharge your batteries. Recharge your batteries, okay? Don't stay out. Don't stay out late. Don't stay up late. I don't know where we're gonna go to stay out late right now.
No more salsa.
Yeah, no more stuff. That's gotta be a whole nother word for you, Michael.
Brand new.
Wow.
That reading now.
I wrote down here the next point is say no more often. Just write that down. Say no more often. Say no more often. The real cost of distractions. Okay? People distract us. Things distract us all the time. And you know, I had somebody ask me earlier today if they should take on a transaction that was pretty inexpensive. It was under $50,000. It was a business opportunity where they normally list and sell real estate. They've done some business opportunity in the past, but they normally list and sell real estate, okay? And they wanted to get involved in this business opportunity, and the price was low, all right? And not that they couldn't do the deal, but the deal was going to take them out of their lane, okay? They normally do this, and they're really good at this with slight variations, but this was going to take them way out of their lane, and it was going to be over here, and for low money. And for low money. Wasn't it? The payoff at the end was horrible in terms of what they normally make. Okay? So I told them, you have to say no. No. Yeah, but no. No. Let's role play. No. 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 Okay? Just no. All right? You know, I have this, this kind of goes, this goes right to my next point. To get bigger, you have to get smaller. Okay? To get bigger, you have to get smaller. Tighten your markets. Tighten the properties you work on. Tighten your price ranges. If you want to work this market, okay, but make it at a higher price point so the return on your time is something greater. That makes sense?
Yeah.
Okay? I think we're really shooting ourselves in the foot when we do this. And right now, if we travel too far and we get discouraged over a deal that goes or doesn't go, and it ends up taking us way out there, and it doesn't go together, we get depressed. We lose our energy, and then we have to get back on the phones or get on the doors, and we don't feel as strong with this. So this is so to get bigger, you need to get smaller and tighten your area. I wrote down here the next thought: know your stats. And as I mentioned earlier, check some basic numbers every day. How many homes got listed yesterday in what you call your normal area? That will keep you generally excited that there's opportunity. Okay, I didn't get it. I wasn't in that deal, but I know it's out there, so I can work on getting it. Okay. Know the basic numbers. How many listed? How many went pending? How many homes under X price? How many homes over X price? We had Steve Thomas come in here the other day. Fantastic presentation. So, he was supposed to, I send to everybody that gave him a card. Hopefully he did. If he didn't, or you don't get it, he did. Okay. But take some of those. Don't take the whole presentation. Take some of the pages out of there. Well, the one I'm referring to, or I'm thinking of right now, is the one that says it talks about buying power. So right now, if interest rates were 5%, which they were January of last year, December of last year, okay, they were 5%, and now they're, let's call it 3.5, okay, 3.25. The buying power, and I don't remember the exact stat, but it was at 5%, you could buy a $500,000 house, and the payment would be X. But the buying power today at 3.25, you could buy it. The same payment would give you an $850,000 house. Hello? I mean, come on. I mean, that's huge buying power for the same monthly payment. And isn't what our clients want is how much is the down payment and what's it going to cost me monthly? Right?
Yeah.
Because they don't care if it's 700,000 or 800,000. If those two numbers are in line, what's the down payment and how much a month? Get it? That's all the buyers are really looking for, generally speaking. So know what those numbers are, and take and have the sheets, the PowerPoint, to be able to back it up. I wrote down here, oh, you're going to love this one. The 3 Ps. Preview more, practice more, prospect more. Preview more, prospect more. Okay. Look, what else do we have to do right now? You're not going to the movies. You're not. Okay. I guess you could sit in front of Netflix. And you know what? I suggest everybody go to Netflix, binge on it for the next 24 hours. You'll get nauseous of it. And then tomorrow you'll be able to go to work. Okay. So just do that. Geez, I've never binged on a show. Go ahead. Grey's Anatomy, 208 episodes. Okay, knock yourself out.
What is good right now is Dr. House. He might have the solution for
One of my very favorite shows years ago when I started binging on shows was House.
It's a joke they say.
Yeah, I love that show.
Even the bill, the one for the pain, and he will give us the solution for the coronavirus.
Exactly. So preview more. You got to know the inventory. You have to know the inventory. Have to. And by the way, a lot more listings are coming on the market right now. Okay, and I will stop right here. Listings are the name of the game. Write that down. Listings are the name of the game. Listings are the name of the game. For 44 years, listings have been the name of the game. Today, guess what they are? The name of the game. The name of the game. I'm telling you, if you start running around with a bunch of buyers that don't have to buy and don't have to sell, and they're driving you crazy because they say they want to buy this $1 million house, but they don't have to buy the $1 million house, they are going to bury you emotionally and financially. Okay? So practice more, preview more, prospect more. I want you to think about this. I don't want to scare you, but I'd like you to work from this perspective, this view. 50% more effort and expect 50% less business. I'm not saying this is what's happening, but this could be on the horizon, okay? So if we worked with that thought in mind, where we were going to have to put in 50% more effort and expect 50% less business, and I'm wrong, wouldn't that be great? Did you guys get that?
Yeah.
Okay. So the next thought, track your numbers, no fail. Most of you are pretty good about that, but now more than ever, track your numbers. It's the way I can help you get better, all right? The next thought, oh, this is finally. Write down finally. Finally, test finally. Finally, memorize your scripts. Finally, all right? Pick one this week, memorize it, okay? I get tonight you're gonna binge on House or one of those doctor shows, I get that. But tomorrow you're gonna be sick and tired of television, and you're gonna have to want and choose something to do. So let's do that. I wrote that down. So memorize your scripts. I started with this, and we're almost at the end of this. Talk to your listings and your pendings. Talk to them. Talk to them more now than ever before. Every day they're freaking out. Every day they're getting information that this is worse and that's worse and this is worse and this is worse. Okay? Talk to them if you have to every single day. Let them know what's going on. Let them know that you're out there. Let them know that you're showing property, that you're coming up with ideas, that you're calling around. Hey, I made 50 calls around your house, and I talked to 2 people that may or may not have some interest in it. Okay? That's perfectly fine. But have that conversation. Let them know what's going on. You don't have to go to the gym anymore, right? Or any less. So, I mentioned this earlier, but this is worth mentioning again. Stop listening to the stock market reports. Stop. You know that the market went up 10% or down 10%. Doesn't help anybody. Honest, it doesn't help anyone. And it can make you just as crazy as it can make your clients. Remind clients how low the interest rates are. Remind them, because you know, but they might not necessarily know. Okay, and let's talk about the interest rates for a minute. You've heard that the Fed funds are at 0, correct? Yeah. Last time the Fed funds were at 0 was 2008 during the recession, all right? However, you have also heard that that number doesn't match what's going on in the mortgage rates, okay? So, but why? What's the difference? Because sometimes the clients want to know. So let me help you with this really quick. The Fed funds are the interest a bank is charged for overnight loans. Every bank makes loans, takes in money, and loans money every day, okay? And at the end of the day, they have to balance. Sometimes they have to borrow money to balance it out. And the money they borrow, they pay interest to the Federal Reserve. And that interest today is 0, okay? But it's short-term money. What's short-term money connected to? Auto loans and credit cards. Auto loans and credit cards. That's what that's connected to. So it's the banks, not us. We don't get that rate. That's the best rate on the planet, correct? What our money, our loans are attached to are the 10-year Treasury notes. Why 10-year? Because most loans pay off in 7 or 8 years. That's been the deal, okay? So they attach it to something, and it's a 10-year Treasury note. The 10-year Treasury note is a very, very secure document. Everybody in the world invests in the 10-year treasury note, okay? Japan has billions in there, China has billions in there, Americans have billions in there, the Saudis have billions in there. That is, when anything is a problem in the world, that's the first place everybody goes to park their money. They have parked a lot of money there. They pushed that rate down to about 0.5%. So if it's 0.5%, why am I still paying 3.5% or 4% for a home loan? Why? Think about this. If you had 4 listings sell this month, your listings, most of you would be okay handling it. Okay? Some less, some more, but for the most part, you could handle it. And if you had 6 listings sell this month, or transactions that you're involved with, you'd probably be still okay with it, a little wobbly, but you'd be okay with it. If you had 50 transactions that were thrown at you right now, you'd be one very happy camper for about 3 minutes, and then you would be freaking out on how you're going to manage these transactions, okay? It's a good freak out, but you'd be freaking out. Okay, well, think about 100 transactions or 500 transactions. That's what's happened to the mortgage industry, okay? Every lender, every loan rep, you know, whatever their max is, double or triple it. All the processors have been doubled and tripled. And now everything is coming to a halt. So to fix that, they artificially raise the interest to slow it down. Because let me tell you something, if they made it 2%, everybody, I'd send everything in. You know, my shoes, everything. I'd refinance everything 3-4 times. Do you get my point?
Yeah.
But at 3% or 3.25% or 4%, it slows the process down. Didn't stop it, but it slowed it way down. And that's why we're having to pay those interest rates. When that demand diminishes slightly, they might drop the rates a little bit to push the demand up. But it's a supply and demand issue, not a cost of money issue. You guys get this? That's what's going on. That's a fact. That's a real issue in the marketplace today. Okay? So, Fed funds rate, 10-year treasury, yeah, they're great. They're terrific. But the biggest issue that we're facing and why the interest rates aren't even lower has to do with supply and demand. They just can't handle the load. Can't handle the load. Biggest issue today for the coronavirus, nobody wants to be sick. Nobody wants to, that's all a real issue. And nobody wants to die, clearly. But the biggest issue in the coronavirus is our medical community. It's only so big. There's only so. It's very interesting. My daughter-in-law works at Cedars in the labor delivery department, and for a month before this whole thing started, they were at maximum beds already. Didn't even start yet. They were at maximum beds for the births because there were just an inordinate amount of births, and they were scrambling for places. And so they have 2 problems, and they've had this problem for 5 or 8 years. Is there's less nurses. There's just those of you that know men and women in the nursing world. There's just less nurses. Okay, so that's an issue, and there's less beds at the hospitals, and that's without the coronavirus. So now you add the coronavirus to this, and so that's why they're really they're doing a big push for the social distancing and all this kind of stuff. And that's what's going on. So next point is we've weathered storms like this before. All right, and I shared this with you before. is that if you're going to go to Afghanistan and you're going to fight in Afghanistan, you want to go to Afghanistan with somebody that's had 3 or 4 tours of Afghanistan who can lead you through it, etc. You don't want to have a green lieutenant coming out of America's greatest academies, but never, pardon me, fought in a war, never put his boots or her boots on the ground and knows where not to step. Okay, that's one of the beauties of us being together. Okay, because I've done this before. I mean, think about this. You know, we've done stuff like this. We did 9/11. You know, where the world stopped for weeks, stopped, boom. And we had all of this going on, and we were at a war. We're not at a war. Well, war at coronavirus, but we're not at a war. We had remember the Northridge earthquake? You guys remember that? Yeah, we had the Northridge earthquake and have crazy stuff. How about the Ventura fires? We just had the Ventura fires, where with all those fires up in Ventura, some of us even forgot about this, but we had real estate communities stop. We had cities completely burned down. People that had listings that were at sales that were closing tomorrow, the fire wiped all that stuff out, wiped it out, gone, no conversation. And then, by the way, when you have a fire go through a community, you also can't put a loan on a house because you can't get, it's crazy. They've already burned everything. There's nothing left to burn, but FEMA wants to come in and make sure that there can't be another fire in that area because they don't want to make a loan. It's crazy, crazy. So we had that. We had the 2008 meltdown of the stock market and the real estate market. Remember, yeah, we hit the bottom and then we went back up. We've been there before. We've been these places. So remind your clients of that. Remind your families of that. Yeah, okay, we had issues. Those are the things that are going on. And then I wanted to end again with work with half the buys and half the sells. And when in doubt, remind yourself, half the buys, half the sells. The second thing is listings are the name of the game. Go get listings. Don't let the buyers drag you all over the place. And then the third thing is take care of yourself. Make sure that you're covering yourself, that you social distance, that you wash your hands like crazy, and that you get a ton of rest. Does this help a little bit?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, let's get back out there. Let's make this happen. Thank you all very much. You bet, you bet, you bet.